Thank you for joining me on the ICT Newscast.
Thank you for having me.
So, do you work a lot with Two Spirit people?
I do. A lot of our youth that I work with now identify as being two spirited or somewhere on their journey of finding out. And so our youth group has been really active in wanting to be visible and show up for a two spirited community because it's something that hits home for a lot of them. I find that more recently, their mental health is a lot more affected by the paranoia that comes with ICE, of whether or not being recognized as Indigenous people on their own lands. But yeah, in the past years, we've had conversations about just kind of the different things that they've seen and experienced, and it's definitely something in a red state where I'm sure other people have experienced kind of similar things where it's very aggressive, especially in the legislature.
What do you think that communities can do to help Two Spirit relatives feel more welcomed?
Acknowledging them. I remember like going to counseling for the first time, and I even told my counselor, I was like, it's something that I'm not quite sure if I'm safe here unless you explicitly say you are safe here. And so I think sometimes keeping that at the forefront, that a lot of our relatives, um, they don't know whether or not they're going to be safe being exactly who they are. And so, if you're visible about celebrating them and teaching history that includes them, um, and remembering them in prayers when you're talking about people who are really vulnerable, needing a little bit more attention from Wakanda, I think those are moments where just bringing them up and remembering that they exist and that we don't want to forget them.
I was just at a Two Spirit powwow here in Rapid City last weekend, and one thing that one of the elders spoke about was how Two Spirit people had traditional roles in, for example, Lakota culture.
Come with the compassion. The old ways are what was beat out of our ancestors at the boarding school, and so we're just trying to get people together to be happy and not have foul language and not have jealousies or resentments and just have a good time. Get out there and have a good time.
I think two spirited powwows are just ways where they can be visible and celebrated. That's different. A lot of times, I hear from folks that you're living on a day to day basis where you're not sure if you're going to get attacked or, if someday you could get murdered or something like that, just based on stats. So it's scary. Nebraska's only been a state for 157 or 8 years, but for thousands of years before that, queer people existed here and they had, a really beautiful role in their community. So really kind of updating their concept of Indigenous history too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, just those events in general where they can engage with the community and they can feel seen, you would say that those are a big help?
Definitely. And helping them accept and understand something maybe that they're not as exposed to. That way, when they are exposed to it, they're not just repeating or seeing it through the same narrative. Because, that might be traditional values for some folk, but not for us. Traditional values our relatives are all very sacred, and we want them to be here and we want them to be themselves.
Thank you. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for joining me on the newscast.
of course. Yes. Thank you for asking.